Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the first annual March 23rd episode of America After Hours. Tonight, we'll feature such luminaries as, from TV's I'll Fly Away and the film Losing Isaiah, actress Regina Taylor. Publishing legend and gambling expert Lyle Stewart. Tonight's America After Hours band is the Custard Kings. We'll also be joined by film expert and gadgeteer Lena Bazia. And I'm last year's voice of the Academy Awards, Les Marshak, and the Tony Awards, too. All that in a special appearance by official America After Hours Oscar candidate Jennifer Tilly. But now, without further ado, the man they named the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion after. Here is Brian Tracy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you and welcome, everybody. Oh, I love that applause. It sounds so good. And now it's my turn. Let me introduce the man who just introduced me. He's been the voice of the Grammys and the Tonys and the Oscars, and most recently, of course, America After Hours. Here is Les Marshak, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll give you a round of applause. Come on out, Les.
What a great audience.
Isn't it great? I've given you a standing ovation. Have a seat.
Thank you.
You know, I have to tell you, I'm a little bit shocked when I first saw you tonight.
I know why, I bet.
Yes.
You expected a old, huge man to be here, right?
I don't know about old, but I expected an older man, and I really did expect you to be a lot bigger. You have an amazing voice.
Well, thank you. But that's the beauty of radio and voiceover work, because you don't know what to expect. I mean, I think it's all in the minds of the beholder. What is
voiceover work, though, for people that aren't in this business like you and I?
It's a lot of nonsense, actually. No, it's a fascinating profession, and you remind me of a conversation I had with somebody a long time ago, somewhere in the world, and I was introduced to them, and they said, "Oh, well, what do you do for a living?" And I said, "Well, I do voiceovers," and they said, "Well, what does that actually mean?" And I tried to explain that, well, I'm the voice on commercials that you see. And they said, "Well, what do you mean the voice? Don't we see you?" And I guess to a lot of people who are not in the business or aware of it, it's kind of an odd profession. But people who do this kind of work usually start as actors or as radio announcers, such as myself.
Or DJs.
DJ, yeah.
And speaking of the voices, you've been the voice, as I said, of the Oscars in 1992, 1994.
Exactly.
And we have a clip of you actually doing your job. We're going to take a look at it right now.
Live from Los Angeles, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences presents Oscar, the 66th Annual Academy Awards. A welcome addition to the Oscar cast, and a presenter this evening, Christian Slater. This dedicated actress will be a presenter this evening, Madeline Stowe. New film star, a nominee for original song, Janet Jackson.
Boy, that's got to be an awful lot of pressure, because that's live, right?
You know, watching this all over again, the adrenaline started pumping.
I can imagine.
That is live, and the way we do, I mean, that part of the show, the first 4 minutes of describing the arrivals, is a true challenge for any announcer, because it is live, and I'm reading to an edited picture that they taped just before air. They have cameras all over the, well, last year was the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, trying to capture the celebrities.
Oh, so they tape them as they come in, and then they edit them?
And they edit immediately, and I'm sitting in a truck outside, which is a control room, with a huge staff of people, and they're feeding me cards, index cards. And let's say Michelle Pfeiffer is the first one. Why did I think of her? Well, good reason. There's an intro for Michelle Pfeiffer, and I put that in number 1. Then I have like 40 cards I have to keep in this order. They race me into my booth inside the pavilion. I go live, and I have a production assistant tapping me on the shoulder every time there's a scene change, and I have to be flipping these cards with intros for each one of these performers.
And you get one shot at it, right?
One shot and no breathing.
Oh, do you sleep at night before you do this?
I had dreams about this for 2 weeks, but it's wonderful. I love live television, and this is an announcer's dream.
Yeah.
And this year it'll be done by a female. The Academy Awards has sort of a gender balance in mind when they do this show.
And it was done by a female also in 1993, is that correct?
The Year of the Woman.
The Year of the Woman.
Right.
Of course they'd have a female announcer.
Exactly. Yeah.
So being a voiceover person, your voice is your instrument.
Exactly.
What happens when you're sick, when you get a cold?
Well, I had that There's been a plague this winter. I think a lot of announcers
I had it.
You had it too?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
I had it in December, and I was in the middle of doing a session for Macy's, and we had something like 3 or 4 commercials, and I could feel the tightness. The beginnings of laryngitis. I said, what am I going to do now? I mean, we have to get this session done, and I completed it as best I can. But the story I wanted to tell you, which was really totally unexpected. Years ago, I was booked to do a TV commercial for Dreamgirls. Michael Bennett was the director, and he was actually directing me, and they wanted, I had laryngitis that day, but they wanted a very raspy, very kind of a whispery rasp, which I don't normally do.
So that works,
Not
though.
my range. They didn't know I was sick, and my voice was down to my shoes. It was like, New York. I mean, I can't do it now.
Does it really change, like when you have a cold, like octaves? I mean, does it go down that much?
I mean, you can't project, but this was perfect for that session. 2 weeks later, they revised the copy, which they do very often, a new copy, bring back less. I come in, and I'm healthy. No more laryngitis.
Right.
I do the take, and they said, it's good, but can't you get that, you know, that sick effect when they didn't know I was sick, and I really couldn't get back that rasp. But generally, if you get laryngitis, you're out.
Yeah. Now, how about foods and things like that before you do the Oscars? I mean, there are things that you have to watch out for. Do you just drink tea, or?
Well, I have these lozenges that I come equipped with. A lot of water, and you stay away from, it sounds disgusting, but we call it mucus food. And this is true for any singer, any performer.
Okay, you better tell me what that is.
Well, it could be Haagen-Dazs ice cream. I'll never get the Haagen-Dazs account. I just realized it's a great ice cream, but any dairy product, pizza, chocolate cake is the worst. It's the enemy of any speaker because it produces a lot of that stuff that we just talked about.
How did you get started in the business?
Well, I was studying pharmacy, which is another story. But during those years at Columbia University College of Pharmacy, I had this dream of getting into radio and television, and WABC Radio, which was the #1 station in the country back then, had this star search. This was back in '61, and it was a star search to find young people who were interested in the profession. I auditioned with about 2,000 others, and I got the gig.
Gee, you know, I'm beginning to think that being a pharmacist has something to do with getting in with show business, because last night we had Arthel Neville on, and she wanted to be a pharmacist. She went to pharmacy school and everything, and now she's the host of Extra.
It's the lure of drugs, legitimately. I mean, this was before the drug culture, totally.
Yeah, really.
But, well, now, you know, occasionally I get booked to do pharmaceutical narrations when they're introducing a new product, and I can pronounce all these words, you know, deoxyribonucleic acid. And,
Did you always have that voice, though? I mean, you know, you're born with a voice like that, right? You don't develop a voice like that.
I think it changed when I was about 12 and a half.
Yeah?
Yeah, my father reminds me I was calling a friend one day. Her name was Susan. And the first syllable of Susan was up here, the second dropped down here, and that's when it happened.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about the telethon that you're going to be doing this weekend.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, which is, matter of fact, it's right here on the AT network.
Definitely. This Sunday at 10 o'clock in the morning until 3 in the afternoon, I will be involved with Cousin Brucey, who's my dearest friend, Bruce Morrow, and Kathy Lee Gifford, and Lou Hassenian. We're putting together the 10th annual Variety Children's Charity Telethon, which is an incredible experience. You out there, and we're going on America's Talking for 5 hours, and this is a chance to help kids in the New York metropolitan area who are mentally and physically disabled. And Variety is an organization that's international in scope, collects money to support these kids in various hospitals, rehabilitative efforts. And we only have 5 hours to do it, but we'll have stars from Broadway, we have Soupy Sales, we have, it's going to be a lot of excitement.
Have you worked with Kathy Lee Gifford
before?
And her husband's going to be there also.
I believe Frank will be there, yeah.
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 So you have worked with them?
Yes.
And what's it like? What's she really like?
Everybody wants to know what, well, she's a doll.
I want to know if she's really a nice lady, because you know, she seems so nice on the air, and I've heard all these stories about the real Kathy Lee Gifford.
When I first met her, I thought about that, you know, she is a living legend. She is warm and wonderful, And I have to say this because I do all the promos for Regis and Kathy Lee. So,
okay, so now the truth comes out, right? Okay, you know, so you're not going to tell me anything, right?
That's bread and butter. You know? No, she's lovely. She really is.
Yeah.
She's very talented.
So what's the next big thing on your agenda?
Well, we have, let's see, I've been the voice of the Tony Awards for 15 years. That comes up in June. And
does that mean you're going to do it again? Is it a lock? Is it a guaranteed thing you're going to get to do?
There's no such thing in this business. I mean,
Yeah.
but you figure after 15 years they're happy, and that's a great experience. It's not like an Oscar experience. The Tonys, it's like a Tiffany Award show, and the people are wonderful.
Well,
and,
we'll be listening for you, actually, not looking for you.
This Sunday at 10 o'clock.
Yes, this Sunday. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with music from the Custard Kings. And we're going to talk with actress Regina Taylor. Don't go away.